Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here. We got another Washington Commanders weekly talk. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to touch on the Russell Wilson trade, that Washington offered to the Seahawks. We don't know, obviously, what they offered, but the Washington Commanders, if you do not know, they offered the Seahawks a trade for Russell Wilson. They tried to get him. Ultimately, nothing came of it. They weren't able to, make the trade, but still crazy. And, it's good that at least Ron is trying. So we're going to be talking about that in today's stream, the combine, a little bit of a free agency, preview as well. I'm not sure. I don't think anyone's going to be coming on unless something crazy happens. So it'll just be me today. But yeah, a lot of crazy things happening. What is up, King Sean? What's up, Rashad? What's up, Benjamin? Appreciate all you guys coming through. And yeah, we're going to talk about, we will touch on the quarterbacks at the combine and whose stock is going up and whose stock is going down. So appreciate all you guys coming through. So what are you guys' reaction to the Russell Wilson news? I'll let a few people get in here before we dive into it totally. But I was kind of surprised. I was setting up the stream for today, and then the Russell Wilson news comes out. I go ahead and make a video, and that's why I was a little late today because I forgot to switch up the thumbnail because I decided to switch the focus of the stream a little bit to this Russell Wilson news. So if you guys did not know, and yeah, let's see what's up, Alante. What's up, Mikhail? And yeah, I will be next week doing a free agency preview, and I do hope to get more people on, maybe like 3 people on, maybe 4. We will see. So yeah, basically, the Washington Commanders made a pretty strong offer to the Seattle Seahawks for Russell Wilson, and this was reported by Ian Rappaport. Ultimately, didn't fall. Nothing came of it. The Seahawks obviously rejected it. That's what was expected, but it was a strong offer, and it shows that Washington and Ron's not playing. He's trying to get his QB the future. He knows it's going to be hard. We know that Russell Wilson, it's a dream. It's very unlikely that that Russell Wilson would get traded here because the Seahawks aren't ready to move on yet, especially Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is getting up there in age. He's the oldest head coach in the NFL, and he doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild. He really doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild. And if you're trading Russell Wilson, you're obviously going to be a part of the rebuild. The only way that they would do it is if they're getting a high caliber quarterback in return, and from Washington, they won't be getting that. What's up, Nard? What's up, Sway Run? Yep, Rashad, hail to the Commanders. I like that better than take command, honestly. Take command for me, it ain't it. It's not it. So I mean, hail to the Commanders. Going to get a little bit it's going to take a while to get used to it, but it's definitely better than take command. So I'm kind of interested what they offered for Russell Wilson. I mean, it's probably. I mean, they had to give up a player. I think. I think they definitely threw in a player. So they probably offered a couple first round picks, a second, and like maybe Heineke. And I mean, Heineke's not going to move the needle, but it would be better than what they have on their roster. And then maybe they threw in like Payne or Sweat, which to me, that would be a strong offer. If I'm the Seahawks, so I still don't do that, but it is a strong offer. And I would say, like, if I had to guess the percent chance that, Russell Wilson gets traded this offseason, I'd probably say like 20%, maybe 25%. There's still a chance, if, I mean, there's still a while until the, draft. That's probably the deadline for him to get traded. So there's still a little bit of time. There's reports last year that he was frustrated. He's probably still frustrated. So, maybe something could happen. I doubt it, but there's still a chance. But if they have a, bad year this next year, they don't make the playoffs or, they get out in the first round, it might be time for them to trade him. And I think they would trade him. Let's see. Yeah, they really tried calling the Chiefs for Mahomes. I don't know if they like. I mean, they called like every team in the NFL. I'm not sure if they kind of. I don't know what they're doing with Mahomes. If they're kind of asking like what the price is just to get a gauge of what like the price would be for top quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm not sure. I'm really, really not sure. Let's see. Alexander Wilson, really appreciate the $5 donation. Says John Kime, Willis if available over Pickett if they sign a veteran first, but Pickett over Willis if they don't sign a veteran. Yeah, I mean, Kime's been talking for a while that that he thinks at 11 they would take Pickett over Malik Willis, but he does see a scenario where they would take Malik. Let's say they signed Teddy Bridgewater or they signed Mitch Trubisky or Carson Wentz or traded for Jimmy G, then that's much more of a possibility of them drafting Malik Willis at 11 because they have a guy that can start. I think if they draft Kenny Pickett, he should start right away. I mean, you look at the quarterbacks in the NFL. There's not a lot of quarterbacks that sat out their first year and were successful in the NFL. I mean, you look at Mahomes, he is an exception. Aaron Rodgers is another guy, and that's the thing. Aaron Rodgers, that's 15, 16, 18 years ago. It's been so long. It's been so long for Aaron Rodgers. So Mahomes is really the only one. We'll see what happens with Trey Lance. I think Malik Willis is a little bit different because he's super raw and he's seen, a lot of people see him as a project, but I would not mind if we played him right away because, a lot of these top guys play right away. And I don't know how it'd feel if you just sat him for a year. I mean, even like the successful mid-round picks, like you look at Russell Wilson, third-round pick, he played right away in his rookie year. You look at Dak Prescott, fourth-round pick, he played right away. I mean, it was due to an injury, but still, they did it. Let's see. Yeah, Watson's verdict is April 1st, so we'll see. Appreciate the donation, Alexander Wilson. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be between Willis and Pickett, in my opinion, for that top QB spot, and it really just depends on what they do in free agency. Because if they have a veteran, then they're able to maybe draft Malik Willis. But if they don't, they probably don't think that Malik Willis is ready to start right away. What's up, Philip? Appreciate you coming through. Swearon says, I'll take Jimmy G over any of the free agent QBs. I mean, I kind of disagree with that. I just don't. I mean, if you're just putting them out there, nothing, you just have to pay them. Maybe I take Jimmy G over these other guys. But considering you have to give up like a second round pick and pay, extend Jimmy G, that's when I kind of draw the line and also you throw in that Jimmy G is going to be out for 4 months. I think that's what it was, 16 weeks. So he's not going to be back. He's not going to be healthy and be able to throw until July. So that is another thing. I mean, he's going to be learning a new offense and not being able to throw until July. That to me, I don't know. The only way I do it is if it's like, okay, I would give up a future third, a 2023 third round pick for Jimmy G if it's conditional. So if Jimmy G plays 75% of the snaps, then I'll give a third round pick for him. And if not, it'll just be a fourth because I would not give much up for Jimmy G. I don't think he's worth it. I mean, it's not that he's a bad QB, but for the price, I think you can get good QB play or the same level as Mitch Trubisky as Jimmy G for you just pay him and it's going to be less and you don't have to give up draft capital. What's up, T-Ho? Appreciate you coming through. He says if we get Jimmy G, this will be Ron's last year. I mean, I don't know. I don't really agree with that. I think they'll keep Ron for a while, at least for 2 more years. 2 more years, I think. Jimmy G, if it's just Jimmy G and it's a disaster, maybe. But I think if they get Jimmy G, they'll still draft a rookie, and that'll have Ron Rivera holding on for a little longer. I think that if they do trade for Jimmy G, I would definitely draft a QB. I would definitely draft a QB in the second or maybe even first round. Brian says Russ dealings aren't dead was just it's still not over for Russell Wilson. I still again think that it's a very low chance of it happening. But of course, if we go out there, make a huge deal or make a huge offer, a bigger offer than this one, there's some more frustration. Like maybe after free agency, the Seahawks really didn't address any of the needs that Russell Wilson thought they should. He's frustrated and he's like, okay, I demand a trade or I want to go. And another thing is like if they can get a 3-way trade going where Washington trades for Russell Wilson and the Seahawks trade for Deshaun Watson, that kind of could work there where they use the assets that they got for Russell Wilson to throw into a Deshaun Watson trade. And it's a win-win-win because we want a QB the Seahawks love Russell Wilson, but they also know that he is getting up there in age and he's likely going to be gone soon. So they don't want to trade him too late. And then the Texans, they're in a bad situation with, Deshaun Watson where they want to trade him, but I don't know. They want to trade Deshaun Watson. So I think that could work right there. The Eagles also have amazing draft capital, and so do the Giants. The Giants have the fifth and the seventh pick, and Daniel Jones, who I know is not a huge, trade piece, but some teams might like him. He was a first round pick a few years ago, and then the Eagles have 3 first round picks. They are all middle of the pack, first round picks, so you're not going to be able to get a quarterback with that, but you might be able to use that as trade capital. And they have Jalen Hurts. So that is something where they have a decent amount of trade capital. And that's something where like we could have been in a very similar spot last year, like not to the same extent, but we could have, I really thought at 19, I wanted Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah. And if not Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah, I like Christian Darrisaw. Both of those guys were on the table at 19. I would have been ecstatic if we picked any of those guys. Obviously, Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah balled out. Didn't follow Darrisaw too much, but I think he played well. But if it wasn't those two, I wanted to trade back. And then we didn't, obviously. We drafted Jamin Davis, who obviously didn't work out at the middle linebacker position. We'll see what he does next year at outside linebacker. But I think we could have easily gotten Jamin Davis in the mid-20s. I really think so. So you trade back. Maybe you don't get a future first. You still might, but maybe you get like a future second and third round pick, and you still get that first. So you're able to get Jamin Davis, which you got anyways, but you also get a future second and third as draft capital. And I think this year, what I would do if you don't love any of the top QBs, and if you don't love any of the top QBs in the draft, and you weren't able to get Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, and I would personally trade back. And again, this is if you don't like any of the QBs, trade back from 11, get draft capital, and maybe you use a second on like Ritter, Howell, one of those guys, and you have trade capital for next year where it's supposed to be a much better QB class with Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. So you build, draft capital for next year for, either a veteran or one of the draft picks, but also at the same time, you still have a developmental guy like Howell or Ritter where you can get him in the second where, let's say, you roll out there with Mitch Trubisky and Desmond Ritter. Desmond Ritter looks really good, and he ends up being your starter. Again, slow chance of that happening, but then you got your guy. But if not, if he looks like a dud, well, you can move on from him, and it's not going to be pretty. You don't like moving on from a second round pick, but it's doable. Moving on from a first round pick, though, let's say you draft Malik Willis this year, or Kenny Pickett, or Matt Corral, and he has a terrible rookie year, or it's just okay. It's going to be hard to move on from a first round pick to go draft the guy next year. That's kind of my thinking right there. So they have a bunch of things that they could do there. Let's see. Someone says I like Willis, Howell, and Ritter. Willis obviously has a bunch of potential. Ritter, I watched for the first time. I was watching film on him this week. I watched 2 of his games. I believe it was Notre Dame and Indiana. And I'm not a film expert or anything. I'm just seeing, telling you guys what I'm seeing. And I just was really alarmed with Ritter's accuracy because going into it, I was going to really like Ritter because I like the idea of him. 4-year starter at Cincinnati, helped build that program up, undefeated in his last year, I think the year before as well. And, he's got the best size in this class. He's quick, mobile, strong. And, I just thought he was going to be much better on film than what I saw. And I only watched 2 games. But, I mean, the inaccuracy was really concerning for me, especially short. Like his short pass accuracy was really, really bad in my opinion. So many passes that were off, and that really concerns me because accuracy is one of the biggest keys for a quarterback, of course. But his intermediate to deep passing was much better than his short passing, so at least that's the case right there. And he's got great leadership ability. Again, 4-year starter, which you love, but that accuracy is definitely concerning for me. But I kind of see a little bit of a Dak Prescott in him. I honestly do. He's quicker than Dak, but and Dak was a much more accurate passer. But I definitely like the idea of Ritter, but I just need to see a little bit more from him on film than I saw because I only watched 2 games. Me says, to be honest, I'd rather just go best available in the draft or trade down and load up draft picks for. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you love a QB, of course, take him at 11 or even, trade up a few spots. If you really like Willis, you really like Pickett or even Matt Corral, if you really like him, go ahead and get him. Just make sure you got the right guy. If not, though, you don't need to, because this draft class is very deep. So a player you get at 11 is going to be pretty similar to a player you get at 16, 17. Obviously you rather be picking at 11, but I rather be picking at 17 and have another first round pick than just picking at 11. So sorry about that. Yeah. And I think you can get a lot of good players at 17 that, you might have just picked that player at 11. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of good players at 17. There's going to be a few receivers there, like maybe Garrett Wilson falls there. Garrett Wilson's been my guy for a while, and then he went out there and had a 4.38 40-yard dash. He ran faster than Chris Olave. So, I mean, that's beautiful right there. I really like Garrett Wilson. I think he's the best receiver in this class. Him and Jamison Williams, but Wilson's stock or Williams' stock might go a little bit down because of the ACL injury. He might not be ready for the start of the season, but Garrett Wilson is really good. I think I'm not a huge fan of taking receivers in the first, but if we trade back and accumulate draft capital, I would not be upset at all if we drafted Garrett Wilson or Jamison Williams at like 15, 17 plus. If a team like the Steelers wants to jump up from 20 to 11 to get a QB, I would be totally fine with that. T-Ho says, Pedro, what do you think about Kenny Pickett? He got good accuracy and yeah, I like Pickett. He's my number 1 QB right now. Willis is number 2. I mean, that might switch. That might switch in, a few weeks once we get close to the draft. But right now, like Pickett, I mean, he's got a bunch of years under his belt. Very mobile, extremely mobile, good throwing, on the run. He's got good accuracy, solid deep ball thrower, solid arm talent, really good leader. A lot of the players like him. And I know people are going to bring up the hand size and, how many fumbles he had in college, which I think was 26 or something in 5 years. Maybe it might have been more than 26, maybe 34, but something like that. Where you look at Willis, he had 14 fumbles in the last 2 years. And yes, he does run more than Pickett, but Pickett still runs a decent amount. But I feel like a lot of the fumbles for QBs are, behind the line of scrimmage, not after the line of scrimmage. I might be wrong. I might be wrong from, because I haven't watched every single Willis game, but I feel like a lot of his fumbles were probably behind the line of scrimmage when he was throwing. And, Ritter had more fumbles than Pickett as well. And he has like 10-inch hands or something. So I know people are concerned with the hands and feel like he won't be able to play well in, cold weather. Who knows? It might be the case, but he played at Pitt where the weather definitely isn't good and, good all the time. And, he played in an NFL stadium. And, some stadiums are indoors anyways. And he played in a stadium where it's pretty cold, pretty bad weather sometimes. And he was fine. He played there for 5 years. So I think it's not a huge issue. Of course, rather have him have like 10-inch hands. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a huge deal. Like you look at the leader in fumbles this past year was Dak Prescott, and he's 99 in the 99th percentile in hand size. So there is definitely a correlation, but I don't think it's like a huge one right there. I mean, there is like I don't think there's been a single successful besides Michael Vick, a single successful NFL quarterback with 8.5 inch hands. But I mean, if you look at a lot of the names there, not many of them. I didn't go through all of them, but a lot of them were like third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round guys that really never had a chance, like fifth or later. So I mean, I'm not too concerned with Kenny Pickett hand size, but I know some people are. So there's going to be I feel like Willis is definitely moving up people's draft boards. In terms of like the fans, I feel like a lot of people were kind of scared of him. Now they're kind of warming up to him. Like Brian just says, I kind of been at the same spot for a while since I watched, both of their game tapes. I've again only watched. I think Pickett. I've watched 3 or 4 full games. Willis, I think it's been 2, but I've liked Pickett better for a while now. But might change. It might change. What's up, Tyrone Williams? Appreciate you coming through. And Willis, I mean, it seems like he's a really good guy. But one thing that really concerned me was like I think it was a quote that came out from Willis from his time in Auburn, where he felt, Bo Nix was in the same room as him, quarterback room, and he thought that he was going to get the starting job. So he didn't feel like he really had to work that hard because he felt like he was going to get the starting job over Bo Nix, and that didn't happen. And he didn't work as hard, and Bo Nix got the starting job. To me, that is a red flag and very, very concerning. He said he learned from it, which of course is good, and he probably did. But if I'm in those draft interviews, I am grilling him about that and making sure I get an answer of why he said that, and not only why he said that, but how he grew from that, how he grew from that situation, and why it's never going to happen again. Because that gives me big Dwayne Haskins vibes from when he, in 2020 in his second year, where once he got the start, I mean, it's a little bit different because he got the starting job, but once he got the starting job, he said, or he stopped working. He stopped working hard, and yeah, I mean, we all know how that went. So, I don't think it's the same situation. I really don't, but I'm a little scared. So, hopefully, all that stuff gets addressed, and he's good to go because he's super, super talented, and maybe he's our starting QB. Oh yeah, another thing we can talk about is or not Malik Willis, is Amari Cooper. So I mean, the Cowboys are likely going to be releasing him this offseason, or releasing him or trading him. And I mean, I don't know. I would not mind it at all. I think I will be making a video about it tomorrow. But I just think with Cooper, he's going to get paid a ton, and it's just not a good look, in my opinion, if you go out there, sign Cooper for a big deal, and you have Terry out there making like 700K. Like that to me would not be good. Would be not a good look. So to get Cooper, I think you have to sign Terry first. So we'll see. Cooper might hold out until free agency to see what he can do. But I would wait and I don't think Cooper's coming here. I know, well, one of the like he personally might not want to come here because of the QB situation. But what's it called? At the same time, like there's teams that are going to be able to pay him a ton of money, and I don't think we're going to be one of those teams. I really don't. So like we do have the cap space, but we're also gonna be, maybe signing a free agent QB. We're gonna be, we have to pay a rookie class and other things as well. Maybe we'll trade for a QB that needs some cap space. Like I'm not a huge fan of Jimmy G, but we might trade for him and extend him, and that's gonna be a huge cap hit. So we're gonna have to find some room, and I don't know. That's going to be a tough situation there. So I personally would wait a little bit before I sign Amari Cooper. I really do. And I'm interested because I do think he's a good receiver. He's super young as well. So sorry about that. He's super young as well. So I definitely would not mind it. But yeah, we're gonna have to pay him a lot, and that might upset Terry. It might upset Terry. Let's see. What's up, Dubs family? Appreciate you coming through. And yeah, I mean, if Cooper comes, it's probably gonna be because we do have a good QB, but at this point, we don't. And what's up, Vance? Appreciate all of you guys coming through. So real quick, we're gonna get back to the Russell Wilson stuff. We're gonna get back to the free agency stuff, or we're gonna get back to the Russell Wilson stuff. But let's talk a little bit about free agency because we are about, what is it, 10 days away, I think, from free agency. I believe it is on Monday, not this Monday, but the Monday after that. So I'm very, very excited for free agency. I don't think it's going to be super active for Washington, but maybe, it'll be more of like a 2020 off season where we go after the sleepers, the JD McKissicks of the world, the, Wes Schweitzer, the Logan Thomases, Cornelius Lucas, guys like that, where it turned out to be great deals for us. We got lucky because we hit on all those guys. And last year was more big name signings. I don't want to go. I mean, I don't think we should go after that many big name signings this offseason, because I think we need to, build, take care of our guys we have on the roster. Terry McLaurin, maybe Deron Payne, maybe Montez Sweat. I think that's what we should do. I think Montez Sweat is eligible for an extension this offseason. So you can, if you want to get that done, go ahead, or Deron Payne, one of the two. You'll probably want to get that done. And you usually do not build through free agency. You build through the draft, and you might plug some holes in free agency, but usually you do not build your team through free agency. I saw a list. It was crazy. It was like the top free agent receiver contracts in the last like 5 years or something. And like almost all of them were just terrible. I wanna get the thing up there. So okay, so this is the largest free agent wide receiver contracts from teams or with who's for players who signed with new teams since 2016. So obviously not a deal done like if let's say if Terry we didn't get a deal done with Terry this season, but next off season we signed him to an extension, he wouldn't count on this list. So it's free agent contracts for players that signed with a new team. So Kenny Galladay got a $72 million contract. None of the you know years are on this list, which is unfortunate. Watkins was a 48 mil contract. Pierre Garcon with the 49ers, 48. Tyrell Williams, I think, 44. Allen Robinson, 42. That was a good deal. Paul Richardson, 40 million. Marvin Jones, 40 million. That was a good deal. Robert Woods, 39 million. That was a good deal. Golden Tate, 38 mil. That was a terrible deal. Corey Davis, 38 mil. Still up in the air, but first year wasn't great. Adam Humphries, 36 mil, was not great. So, I mean, you look at that. And Curtis Samuel last year, that's still up in the air. But, I mean, you look at that. You like not many great free agent receivers that you see teams have signed a big contract. There's probably been some for small contracts, but the big ones, no. So like I mean maybe you go after small time receiver. Like I would not mind Cedric Wilson at all, but I don't think we should be paying I don't think we should be paying a guy like Allen Robinson this year who had a really bad year this past season. And it's weird because he's had some good years with bad quarterbacks, but he had a really bad season this past year. And he's kind of old. He's getting up there at least in terms of football age. So I would not be a huge fan of signing Allen Robinson because I don't think he's going to be on much of a discount. Let's see. Um, Me says the linebacker from Green Bay is the only guy I want. I would be good with him. Devondre Campbell. I mean, he's not a true middle linebacker. He's not a true middle linebacker, but I do like him, and I think it would be a good signing. Not going to be too expensive. I also like the linebacker from the Falcons, and someone keeps putting it in the comments section how to pronounce it. I got to go ahead and study that and get that ingrained in my mind, so I'm able to say it. And then Leighton Vander Esch, those linebackers I would be okay with. Marcus Williams, that would be probably my dream signing. He's one of the best free safeties in this league. I think he's probably he might get paid more than Tyrann Mathieu. So I really like Marcus Williams at the free safety position. Really do. You pair him with Cameron Curl, oh, that secondary is gonna look nice for sure. You got Cameron Curl. Yeah. I know his name, but I just don't know how to pronounce it. Foye or whatever. But what's up, One Live Music? Appreciate you coming through. But I mean, and we do need to add a linebacker, even if it's an okay linebacker, even if it's like a slightly below veteran. I definitely think we should. And we can also draft the guy as well. Like I like Chad Muma. I like Chad Muma out of Wyoming. I think he could be a steal in the second or third round. And if you do, I don't want to draft Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean at 11, but if you do decide to trade back to like 19 or 20, I would definitely be okay with drafting Nakobe Dean or Devin Lloyd at 19 or something. And you're drafting linebackers back to back in the first round from last year, but at the very least, you're adding draft capital to your trade assets for a QB in the future. So that's why I would be okay with that. I still maybe rather get a receiver, but like Garrett Wilson or Jameson Williams or Drake London. There's a lot of good options out there. I mean, I don't think there's like an alpha this year, even though I like Garrett Wilson the most. But I think there's going to be a lot of good receivers. Not a Jamar Chase, but really, really good receivers in this class. So yeah, Marcus Williams, I agree, Tiho and Neast. I think he's one of the best free safeties in the league, and I would pay him. He's the only guy on this market really that would really pay a lot of money to go get. The rest of the guys, get some sleeper guys that you see that you think have some potential, that you think could be depth pieces, but eventually be starters, like someone like Logan Thomas or Wes Schweitzer, who I don't think, initially last year when we signed him, he wasn't a starter, but he played really well when Brandon Sheriff was hurt, and he turned out to be a really good signing and a starter, a fringe starter. So someone like that, go ahead and make some of those moves. But besides that, I really don't need us to go out there and make a bunch of big name signings. Besides maybe Marcus Williams, I think we got to save our cap space and focus on taking care of our guys, taking care of Terry, taking care of some of that D line as well. What's up, Corey? One Life Music says perfect offseason for me consists of any two out of the three franchise QBs, Foye and or Marcus Williams. Hey, all I need is one of the, if we get a franchise QB, but I just don't see it happening. But if it did, I would be absolutely ecstatic. So, but I think we're gonna be stuck in the same situation until next year, where it is a better draft class and maybe some things happen. So I'm gonna in a bit. I want to talk about our own free agents that we might want to re-sign. But right now, I think I heard it on a podcast. I think it was JP Finley's podcast, but they brought up Matt Ryan. What would you guys think about Matt Ryan coming to DC? I personally, I mean, he's obviously, we would not take him here at a four, because his cap hit this year is $48.5 million. No way I'm doing that. Not a chance at all that I would do that. But if you give up, like, I don't know, if you can get a situation where you don't have the cap hit is way lower in the 20s, if it's in the 20s, I would rather have him than Jimmy G for like a year or two, because I feel like he would be the perfect guy to help develop a Malik Willis, in my opinion. If you're going that route, like I would not want to draft or trade from Matt Ryan and draft Kenny Pickett. It wouldn't make sense. I think Kenny Pickett is ready to start right away. Even if he isn't totally ready, go ahead and start. Matt Ryan or Malik Willis, on the other hand, he might need a year. He might be a guy like Trey Lance where he might need a year. So I would not be opposed to trading a third round pick for Matt Ryan, maybe a second. Depends on what they think of him. I mean, he's 36 years old, so he's not super old. He's got a couple years left. I mean, he hasn't had great years, but 2020, 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. This past season, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, but had a 67% completion percentage and a 90 pass rating. So, I mean, he's an upgrade over Taylor Heineke. I mean, the stats aren't showing it too much, even though the stats are better than Taylor Heineke. But you throw in the leadership and I mean, Heineke's got the leadership as well, but you throw in the experience. I would take Matt Ryan over Heineke. Corey, really, really appreciate the $2 donation. Appreciate you supporting the channel. Thanks for coming through. T-Ho says, is Honey Badger a sleeper free agent? I don't think he's a sleeper. I think he's going to get paid. He probably similar to what Marcus Williams does. Tyrone Williams, really appreciate the $5 donation. Says, Pedro, I watched the Senior Bowl. We even draft EJ Perry in the fourth. He going to be a star. I mean, the Senior Bowl, that's been a month. That was like a month ago. But, I mean, that was a good game. We got to see a bunch of the quarterbacks. I don't know about EJ Perry. I don't know. I don't know. I'd rather not draft him, but it's never bad drafting QBs, especially like if you can draft one in the like middle to late rounds every year, you're eventually gonna hit on a guy. And fifth or sixth round would not be terrible if you want to do that. But I don't know. I haven't watched EJ Perry much, so I don't know. I saw some clips from him in the combine, and he looked pretty good, but I don't think he's going to be anything in the NFL. But I can't talk too much because I haven't watched his film at all. So I'll get back to you on that. But that does bring up a good point where like I see a lot of people talk about this all the time. You should draft a QB every year until you hit on one, until you hit on one, because there's always these developmental guys that sometimes they turn into starters, like Kirk Cousins in the fourth, Russell Wilson in the third, Dak Prescott in the fourth, even like Gardner Minshew in the sixth round. So I think that is a good point. Aaron Rodgers, hey, appreciate the $2 donation. Go Pat, go. Hey, I wish Aaron Rodgers was on Washington. It's not gonna happen. I think he's gonna stay in Green Bay. I've been saying it for a while. I think Aaron Rodgers is gonna stay with Green Bay and stay there for another year or two, and we'll see if they are able to keep Devontae Adams. Appreciate the $2 donations, man. Yeah, and Rodgers is not gonna come here, and even if and I don't think he's getting traded, but even if he wanted to get traded, he wouldn't want to come here, and I think the Packers are gonna want to trade him out of the NFC if he does even get traded. Appreciate those donations, and hey, we'll see if the Packers are able to finally get over that hump this year of NFC championships. Um, Me says Matt Ryan is why I don't want to trade for Russell Wilson. What do you mean, like the decline of Matt Ryan, or because you want Matt Ryan? I don't know if you're saying that Matt Ryan's like downfall decline has scared you about Russell Wilson, or that you just don't want to trade for Russell Wilson because you want to trade for Matt Ryan. Um, Corey says I think we're gonna roll with Taylor Heineke and a rookie with a tier 3 free agent QB to compete in training camp. At the end of the day, Ron ain't spending big on a QB because he's a defensive minded coach. Wait a sec. Got to stay hydrated. So I don't know. The only thing is, I don't really like a three-way competition because that takes away reps. And Heineke's going to be fine because he's been in the system for a while. So he doesn't like if I feel like if you draft the rookie and you get a tier 3 free agent, like you're saying, I would not want to give many reps to Heineke because he's good. Like in terms of the system, he knows it. The rookie, though, I mean, that's gonna if he does get reps, he's taking away from a rookie who does not know the system and a free agent that does not know the system. So that is definitely a situation that I don't know. I would be interested in that, but I think definitely a tier 3 free agent is going to be here, whether it's Bridgewater, Trubisky. Man, the Trubisky hype is getting out of hand. Like I I've this whole time have kind of been on the same page. Like not a huge Trubisky fan, but it is what it is. If you pair him with a rookie, it is what it is. I'm okay with it. But now we're hearing like, oh, I mean, his agent is doing an amazing job putting the word out there, trying to get these stories out about how good Trubisky is going to be, how people in league circles are loving him, are thinking he's a good starter, like all this stuff. And I'm like, ugh. I would be okay signing him to like a 1 year, $7-8 million deal. Now it's looking like it might be 10, and it might. And some people are saying it might be like a 3 year deal. I'm not paying Trubisky like 3 years, 40 million. No way, no way I would do that. Even though the cap's going up, I'm not committing a player that might at best be an average starter for 3 years, and I don't even think he can be an average starter. But someone says, let's see. Who said this? Skin the Man Alive said, or yeah, I think he said Carson Wentz is the best scenario all around. I mean, I don't know. Carson Wentz to me, he is just it's a weird situation because he's had issues with backup QBs in the past. Nick Foles, Jalen Hurts, and then he gets traded to his, the dream scenario for him. Frank Reich in Indianapolis, best O-line in football, best running back in football this past season. I think Derrick Henry's better overall, but this past season, he was the best running back in football, and a bunch of other things going for him, and a good defense, and he didn't even make the playoffs. He just need to win one of the last 2 games, and he loses to the Raiders and to the Jaguars, who are terrible, who got the number 1 overall pick. And if Frank Reich can't fix him, I don't know who can. I really don't. I really do not. And also, he's not going to be your QB of the future. So you're going to have to pair him with a rookie. And I can't, like, he's had problems with backups or rookies in the past. So, like, I don't know if that would be okay. Like, the only way I sign Carson Wentz is when I sign him, because I'm not trading for him, but if I'm signing him, I'm like, okay, only way we're going to sign you, Carson, is if you understand that you might be the starter this year, but you're not a long-term option here. We're going to be drafting a QB in the first or second round this year, or we're likely going to be drafting a guy in the first couple rounds, and you're going to have to deal with that. He's going to likely be the QB of the future, not you. So, hey, if you ball out, maybe you will be, but you have to be okay with us drafting a rookie. If not, we're not going to sign you. That's what I'm telling him. Merrill Garrett says if you sign Trubisky, he's your starter for 3 years. Yeah, he's not signed to be the backup, and he's probably going to want a commitment from you. So, yeah, I kind of agree with that. Yeah, the Colts did not have a good receiving core. I mean, Michael Pittman's good, but a lot of the other guys were injured. But he still had a good system around him and some good pieces. Well, Nick Music says, I'm not saying run with Taylor. I'm just saying if your goal for rookie to start ASAP and be your future, then why? Yeah, I mean, I would be okay with, getting someone like Bridgewater or like Mariota where it's going to be very cheap. Like Trubisky is starting, like the hype is starting to get out of control and like people are saying he's going to get 10 million plus. I don't want to do that. But if it's like someone like Bridgewater or one of these other guys that you don't have to, you're gonna have to pay him like 5, 6, 7 million. I'm okay with that. You bring in a rookie and see who wins, and hopefully the rookie does. And if he does, hey, whatever. You got an insurance policy, and you only pay him 5 million a year. And if the rookie goes down or if he struggles, you're gonna have that guy to be able to go out there and maybe ball out. So I mean, I would be okay with that. I would be okay with that. So combine, nothing really major that from the combine, just the hand size. Desmond Ritter ran a 4.49 40-yard dash. He's mobile, quickest quarterback in this class besides Willis. And I really wish Willis would run a 40, but we'll see if he even does it at his pro day. And then Matt Corral didn't do anything at the combine because he's still recovering from his ankle injury. So yeah, combine nothing much besides also the hand stuff from Kenny Pickett, which I do not think is a big deal at all. Yeah, we talked about it earlier, Von Copeland, but yes, we offered a strong trade to the Seahawks for Russell Wilson. They declined it, and yeah, Ian Rapport reported, so he's a credible source. He's been wrong in the past, but I do believe him, Day Clavis. But we'll see if Washington swings big for another quarterback. Like Deshaun Watson is still a possibility if he does get cleared. That's the big thing right there. If he gets cleared, maybe Washington goes after him. Maybe. Oh yeah, Day Clavis. You're saying it's not a rumor; it's a confirmed report. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Horace, yeah, I like Pickett. I really like Pickett. He's my favorite QB right now. So, I mean, I would take him in the first. I know some people don't like him. Some people are saying he's like a 5th-round pick. I don't agree with that, but it is what it is. Merrill says Ron Rivera won't last another year or another losing season. I mean, I just think Snyder's so caught up in like everything going on with the franchise, off the field, stadium stuff that I think, and also like if another coach and a respected coach like Ron Rivera fails, who's gonna want to come here? Like you're not gonna get that much better than Rivera. So I think I think Ron's gonna stay at the minimum 2 more years, even if people don't like it. Yeah, we'll see, Merrill. We'll see. I just don't think they're gonna get much better than Ron. I really, really don't. Their chances, I mean, they had their chances. Like, they could have kept Kevin O'Connell on the staff. They didn't. It is what it is. It's annoying, but whatever. Yeah, Tio, I would take Kenny Pickett at 11. So free agency, guys I would keep. I forgot to talk about this. Guys I would keep that are free agents for us. I would try to keep DeAndre Carter on a cheap deal. I think he's a good kick returner. Don't like him as a punt returner, though, but I like him as a kick returner. And then I would definitely bring back Joey Sly. If Jada McKissick checks out, the injury checks out, I'm bringing him back. Cam Sims back on a cheap deal. I'd bring him back as well. And then some of this, other guys, Torrey McTyer, I like him as a depth guy. You can get him probably for the minimum. There's some other guys as well that, if you can get him for super cheap, go ahead. Bobby McCain, if you can bring him back for cheap, I'll do it. But, I hope those last 2 interceptions against Jake Fromm didn't get into his head thinking he's better than he is, because I'm not overpaying for Bobby McCain. You might as well just go for Marcus Williams at that point. Joshua says, where do you think the new stadium will be? I think it's going to be in Virginia. I don't know where in Virginia. I think Loudon, though. I think Loudon would be a good place if it is in Virginia. That would be my preferred location in Virginia. But overall, I would love DC. But a lot of it looks like, from like John Comm saying, it's very unlikely it goes into DC. Same thing with Bram, who's the host or the announcer for Washington. And then Michael Phillips also said he thinks it's going to be in Virginia. So I wish it was in DC, but I rather have it in Virginia than Maryland at least. Leonard Smiley, appreciate the $2 donation. Says OC from the Kansas City Chiefs should be the coach. I mean, you know what? I'm fine with Rivera at this point, but I think he should have a job in the NFL. But or he should probably get a head coaching job. But I'm fine with Rivera, honestly. I mean, he took over a 3-13 team, more than doubled their win total in his rookie year or in his first year here. Second year, didn't really improve, but you got to think they played the hardest schedule in the NFL, had a bunch of COVID issues, a bunch of injuries. So I mean, and they had no quarterback. So I mean, I'm fine with Rivera, but I think Eric Bieniemy will get a head coaching job soon. And if he doesn't, maybe it's time for him to maybe get a head coaching job in college and, show what he can do there. So maybe that will make teams want him more. I don't know what would at this point, but maybe that's a possibility. Appreciate that donation and hope he gets a job soon. Kurt Smith says, get rid of Scott Turner. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going into the second year. I was kind of excited for what Scott Turner, and the first half of the year, up until the first few weeks, I was kind of disappointed in him. But at the middle of the season, like 6-7 weeks in that middle part of the season, I kind of like what I saw from him. But then the last 4 or 5 games, I was really disappointed. And I know he's playing with, he has Taylor Heineke, Garrett Gilbert, Kyle Allen as his QBs then, but still, I don't know. It was not good. A lot of this, play calls I didn't like. And yeah, I mean, they could have had Kevin O'Connell on the staff, which I don't know. I think what I was hearing was from like some other reports that Ron Rivera did not want to keep him or did not want to hire him because Kevin O'Connell wanted to pick his offensive staff. So I don't know. But we got over 100 people in here. So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe for great Washington Commanders content. I post daily, any news, free agency previews, stuff like that all the time, draft stuff, all the good stuff on a stream once a week. So make sure you guys subscribe, follow the Twitter, link in the description, and hit that like button as well. So we're gonna talk for about 10 more minutes, and then we're gonna call it a day. Yeah, and Scott Turner did not have, he was working with not a great offense the second half of this year with, I mean, Taylor Heineke, who I like him, but I don't think he's a good starter in this league. And then you had Ricky Seals-Jones out there, a bunch of backups. Ricky Seals-Jones is a good backup, but not a starter. You had so many guys out there, or so many guys out. Keith Ismail as your center. Just so many backups. But yeah, we'll see. Scott Turner though, I think is on the hot seat. If he doesn't have, he's not going to get fired in the middle of the season. That rarely happens for offensive coordinators, even though Jason Garrett got fired. But I would, I would have, if Scott Turner has another disappointing season or the offense has a disappointing season, that's when I'm like, okay, I might move on from Scott Turner. I might. So, yeah, we'll see. So, free agents, let me know in the comments or in the live chat who you would bring back from the Washington Commanders. And, I name my guys: McKissick, Cam Sims, Joey Sly. If you can get Bobby Kane for cheap, Troy McTire, some other guys as well. I would totally bring those guys back. And please, please, please bring back or extend Terry McLaurin. Do it, Commanders. Please, please, please. I got the jersey on right now. And yeah, hopefully they're able to extend him because, I mean, give him whatever he wants. Please just bring him back. I don't know what I would do if we let him walk in free agency next season. I mean, I don't think we would. I think we'd at least franchise tag him. But once you go down that route, it's never good because yeah, it just isn't. It just isn't. So Brian brought up another good talking point. What do we do with Collins? And at this point, I'm kind of thinking like I like Collins, but I'm kind of thinking we might move on from him just because like you have Jamin Davis, who's an outside linebacker. You have Cole Holcomb, who's an outside linebacker, and usually, like you only play like 40% of the snap with two outside linebackers on the field at the same time. So you throw in Landon Collins, who's not out there, who is not an inside linebacker. They're not going to get much playing time, and he plays a little bit of a different position because he's kind of a hybrid safety linebacker that goes in coverage a little bit more. Is that big nickel type of player, but still, I don't know. He needs to take a big pay cut for me to want to keep him, and if not, then a big pay cut and a contract restructure. If not, then I'm cutting him. Yeah, Pete Carroll's bubblegum. Yeah, Russ is staying for sure. I mean, I've been saying it for a while. I think maybe a 20% chance he gets traded this offseason. I really don't think it's a big chance. But if I'm assuming you're a Seahawks fan, but if you guys have a down year next year, you either don't make the playoffs or you get a first round exit, then maybe I could see, him wanting to get a trade. One Life Music, man, appreciate the $5 donation. Appreciate always supporting the channel. Says, appreciate your consistency, bro. Post combine day one, I like Willis, Pickett, Corral, Ritter. Bring back Terry, JD, Bobby, and DeAndre Carter. I agree with the guys to bring back, and I would throw in Joey Sly as well. And I would say, I mean, I think our lists are pretty similar. I would say for me at this point, I would put Pickett at one, but it's getting closer with Pickett and Willis. And then I guess right now I have Matt Corral at three, even though I'm not a huge fan of him. And then Ritter is my fourth. But Ritter could move up. But I think our lists are pretty similar, just like that one change with Willis and Pickett. But things could definitely change you know, once we see the pro day and other things as well. Things can definitely change. And appreciate that donation, man. Really, really helps out the channel. Russ has unfollowed the Seahawks. He doesn't want to stay in Seattle. I mean, he said he wants to stay, and I'll take his word for it. But I'm not really making a huge deal about like him unfollowing them on social media. I think he's going to stick around for this year and see how they do. If they don't make the playoffs, I think he's gone for sure. Tyrone Williams, appreciate the donation. Says Heineken's our franchise QB. Watch what I tell y'all. All of them games we lost wasn't his fault. Heineken knows this offense. He definitely knows the offense. I would say the games that we lost, I think there was. I'm trying to think. The Broncos game, it wasn't all his fault, but he definitely didn't have a good game. But that was probably mostly on Chris Blewett. But Heineke definitely could have played better. I'm trying to think who else. I'm trying to think about the other games. The Eagles game we could have won. I mean, a lot of the games weren't necessarily Heineke's fault that we lost, but I don't think he's a franchise QB. I don't think he's a franchise QB at all. He's a very, very high end backup where if your starter goes down, Heineke knows the offense. He can bring a spark to the team, and the teammates love him. The teammates absolutely love him. And if you need to start him for a bit, I would be okay with it. But I personally think we need to just move on, not move on from him, but get another guy in here as a starter, and get him weapons. I mean, yeah, I think this past season it was a little unfair to him, especially like the second half of the season where, I mean, the guys were all down. I mean, really, besides Terry. Let's see. And I appreciate those donations, Tyrone. Christian, I don't know if you're trolling, but Terry's not even a top 20 receiver. Come on now. Terry for sure is a top 20 receiver in this league. I would argue top 12. And if he had an average QB, like if he had Kirk Cousins throwing to him, who's an average, above average QB. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I thought you were trolling. But yeah, but if he had, like, this is just another point. If he had a good QB, he would 12, 1,300 plus yards. He just doesn't have good QB play. He really doesn't, and he consistently puts up these good numbers. So I hope we get him extended before we get a QB because, yeah. But I love Terry. Got his jersey on, and hopefully we can get an extension done with him. Because if we can't, I'm gonna be upset and I'm gonna be nervous going into this last season under contract where we're not we yeah, we don't know if he's going to be with us for the foreseeable future. So hopefully we can get a deal done with Terry McLaurin. It's going to cost a lot. I think like 18 million plus, but I think it will be worth it. And if we can get a QB for him, his career is going to skyrocket. He's a little bit up there in age in terms of like he's a fourth year player this year, but he's like what, 27? Let me look it up. He is 26. He's 26, turning 27 in September. So he's a little bit up there. He's obviously still young, but for like a third year player this past season, fourth year player next year, it's younger or it's older than a lot of people would think. So yeah, I'll answer a couple more questions, but that's gonna about do it for today's stream. Really appreciate all you guys coming through. If you guys are new, make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to 7K, super, super close there. Appreciate everyone that came in and support the channel. Really appreciate you guys. And tomorrow, probably gonna have an Amari Cooper video, and we'll see what I do the rest of the week. Next week is gonna be free agency, free agency, free agency. There's probably gonna be a bunch of rumors, and I'll do my predictions and other stuff as well. I'm excited. I love this part of the off season. Free agency, draft, stuff like that. Yeah, I might do a Risers Fallers video. Definitely some guys I think Washington should target for sure. Stack says De'Ami Brown and Samuel are supposed to help, but yeah, we're still waiting on those guys. We're still waiting. We'll see what they do. I think Curtis will be fine. I think he will be fine. Just got to stay healthy. I don't know about De'Ami though. I'm not too optimistic about De'Ami Brown. And then just one. I mean, I still think he can ball out though. One quick news piece: Jeremy Fowler says Saints safety Marcus Williams does not expect to be franchise tagged. Saints would prefer a long-term deal for Williams, who played on the tag last year. So he's likely gonna be a free agent, or unless the Saints re-sign him before everything happens. So appreciate all you guys, D Watson, Christian, T Ho, Brian, One Life Music, Stack, Football Fan, everyone who came in, De Quavis, Horace Jackson, Tyrone. Appreciate all you guys for coming through. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace, guys.